Have you ever felt like a prisoner within the walls of your own mind? You find yourself lying awake at 3 a.m. replaying a conversation from 10 years ago, obsessing over a text message that hasn't arrived, or paralyzed by the fear of a future that hasn't even happened yet. It is absolutely exhausting, isn't it? But here is the brutal truth. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are the one holding the key to the cage. What if you could silence that chaotic noise in mere seconds, not years? Imagine walking through a storm of stress and pressure, yet remaining completely untouched, calm, and focused while everyone else around you panics. This isn't a fantasy. It is the ancient art of Stoic control. In this episode, we are going to arm you with 12 specific questions that will act as bullets to kill the parasite in your head. This is not about toxic positivity or soft advice telling you to just think positive. This is a tactical dismantling of the lies your brain tells you. Whether you are dealing with a difficult boss, suffering from social anxiety, or just drowning in daily stress, these tools apply directly to your survival. By the end of this episode, you will possess a weaponized mind capable of cutting through confusion and finding instant peace. If you are ready to stop being a slave to your emotions and start living as a master of your mind, then commit to watching this through. Let's silence the noise. Let's start with a brutal truth, one that might make you uncomfortable, but it is necessary if we are going to get anywhere today. You are a liar. You lie to yourself all day long. You wake up and tell yourself stories that simply aren't true. You tell yourself that the text message you didn't receive means you are unlovable. You tell yourself that the silence from your boss means you are about to be fired. You tell yourself that a minor setback is a catastrophe that will ruin your entire life. You are the screenwriter, the director, and the audience of a horror movie that is playing exclusively in your head. And the worst part, you believe the movie is real life. This is the first and most dangerous trap of the modern mind, the narrative. You see, human beings are storytelling machines. We don't just observe reality, we interpret it. We add flavor, we add color, and unfortunately, we usually add fear. But Stoicism offers us a knife to cut through this fabrication. The first question you must ask yourself when the anxiety starts to rise, when your chest gets tight and your palms get sweaty, is this: is this true, or is this my perception? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled over the known world while fighting wars on the frontier and dealing with a plague that wiped out millions, didn't have time for drama. He wrote extensively about impressions. He understood that things themselves do not hurt us. Events are neutral. Objects are silent. The world is just physics and atoms crashing into each other. What hurts us, what causes the sleepless nights and the panic attacks, is our opinion about those things. Think about it. Two people can be stuck in the exact same traffic jam. One is banging on the steering wheel, blood pressure sky high, screaming that his day is ruined. The other is sitting calmly, listening to a podcast, grateful for 20 minutes of solitude. The event, the traffic, is identical. The reality is the same. The cars are stopped. That is the truth, but the first man has added a layer of fiction. This is unfair, this is a disaster, I am going to be late and everyone will judge me. That is his perception, and that perception is what is killing him, not the traffic. Most of your overthinking is just bad fiction writing. You take a raw fact. Let's say you made a mistake at work and you spin it into a tragedy. The fact is, I sent the wrong file. That is where reality stops. But your mind keeps writing. It adds, I am incompetent. My boss thinks I'm an idiot. I'm going to lose my bonus. I'll never get promoted. I'm a failure. Do you see the difference? The first part is data. The rest is a ghost story you are telling yourself to induce fear. So how do we stop this? We have to separate the objective data from the subjective fear. We have to strip the world naked. I want you to try something with me right now. This isn't just theory, this is practice. If you are safe to do so, I want you to close your eyes for a second or just focus your gaze on one spot. Bring to mind the thing that is stressing you out the most right now. The thing that kept you up last night. Got it? Now I want you to strip away the adjectives. Get rid of words like terrible, scary, humiliating, disastrous, or unfair. Those are judgment words. Those are your lies. I want you to describe the situation using only nouns and verbs. Be like a scientist in a lab coat describing a chemical reaction. Instead of saying, "My ungrateful partner cruelly ignored me and broke my heart," you say, "My partner did not speak to me for 3 hours." Instead of saying, "I completely humiliated myself in that meeting and looked like a total fool," you say, "I stumbled over my words for 10 seconds during the presentation." Do it, say it in your head. Noun and verb, just the facts. Does it still hurt? Probably a little, but the sting is different, isn't it? The monster shrinks. When you look at the raw data, my partner did not speak to me. It is a problem, sure, but it is a problem you can solve. It is a situation you can manage. But when you look at the story, I am unlovable and broken. That is an impossible weight to carry. You cannot solve I am unlovable because it isn't real. It's a phantom. You have to understand that your mind is trying to protect you, but its software is outdated. It treats a rude email like a saber-toothed tiger. It treats a rejection like death. You have to be the adult in the room. You have to be the one to look at your own brain and say, "That is an interesting story, but I am looking for the truth." The next time you feel that wave of panic, stop. Catch the thought. Interrogate it. Ask it, are you a fact or are you a feeling? If it's a feeling, acknowledge it and then let it pass. If it's a fact, look at it coldly. Facts can be handled. Facts are small. Facts are manageable. It is the shadows you cast on the wall that look like monsters. Stop fighting the shadows. Turn on the light. The truth is usually boring. And in a world of chaos, boring is your best friend. Boring is peace. Once you accept what is true, you can stop wasting energy on what is false. But knowing the truth is only the first step. Once we see the problem clearly, we have to ask the next logical question, the one that separates the strong from the weak. Is this thing I'm looking at even within my power to change? Once you have stripped away the lies and identified the raw facts of your situation, you must subject those facts to the second, and arguably the most important, question in the entire Stoic arsenal. This is the question that separates the sane from the insane. It separates the free man from the slave. Ask yourself, is this under my control? This sounds simple. It sounds almost too basic. But I guarantee you 99% of the anxiety you feel right now, the tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts, the inability to focus, comes from a refusal to answer this question honestly. We live in a culture that tells you to manifest your reality, to control your destiny, to bend the universe to your will. That is a lie. And it is a lie that is making you miserable. The Stoics had a concept called the dichotomy of control. It is binary. It is black and white. There is no gray area here. There are things that are up to you, and there are things that are not up to you. Your thoughts, up to you. Your actions, up to you. Your character, up to you. Your words, up to you. Everything else, not yours. The economy, not yours. The traffic, not yours. The weather, not yours. What your boss thinks of you, not yours. Whether your partner stays or leaves, ultimately not yours. Here is the metaphor you need to burn into your brain today. The archer. Imagine a master archer standing on a battlefield. He has his bow, he has his arrow. He has spent years training his muscles. He checks the wind. He plants his feet. He draws the string back to his cheek. He aims with absolute precision. Up until this exact moment, everything is under his control. He is the master of his craft. But the second he opens his fingers and releases that string, the arrow is no longer his. It belongs to nature now. A sudden gust of wind could blow it off course. The target could move. The arrow could snap. If the archer stands there screaming at the wind, begging the arrow to turn left, crying because it missed, he is a fool. He is trying to control a variable that has already left his hand. You are doing this every single day. You send an email, that is you drawing the bow. You hit send, that is you releasing the arrow. And then what do? You sit there refreshing your inbox every 30 seconds. You obsess over whether they read it. You worry about what they are thinking. You are screaming at the arrow. You go on a date. You wear your best clothes, you tell your best jokes, you are a gentleman, you release the arrow. Then you spend 3 days analyzing their text response time. You are screaming at the wind. Stop it. If you cannot move it with your hand, you must not try to move it with your mind. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, was born a slave. He had a master who could beat him, starve him, or kill him on a whim. He walked with a limp because his leg was broken by that master. If anyone had a reason to feel helpless, it was him. But Epictetus was freer than you are. He said, "Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and in one word, whatever are not our own actions." He went on to say that if you try to control what is not yours, you will be thwarted, miserable, and disturbed. You will become a slave, not to a master with a whip, but to circumstances. Look at your life. You are a slave to the weather app. If it rains, your mood is ruined. You are a slave to the news cycle. If the economy dips, you crumble. You are a slave to the validation of strangers on the internet. You have handed the keys to your happiness to everyone else, and then you wonder why you feel locked out of your own mind. You need to become an operator, not a victim. An operator looks at the board and says, "These are my pieces. These are the moves I can make." He does not cry because the opponent made a move he didn't like. He adjusts, he adapts, he acts. When you find yourself spiraling, look at your hands. Literally look at them. Can your hands physically reach into the past and change that mistake you made 5 years ago? No, then drop it. Can your hands reach into your boss's brain and rewire his neurons to like you? No, then drop it. Can your hands stop the economy from changing? No, then drop it. Focus entirely on your aim. Focus on your training. Focus on pulling the string back. That is your empire. Everything else is just noise. Let the arrow fly and let the result be what it will be. You are responsible for the effort, not the outcome. Accept that and you become unbreakable. Let's play a game. I want you to go back in time. I want you to tell me with absolute precision what you were worried about on this exact day 5 years ago. Not a vague idea, but the specific thought that was keeping you awake. The specific awkward conversation. The specific email. You don't remember, do you? You have absolutely no idea. And yet, I guarantee you that 5 years ago today, you were stressed about something. You felt that same tightness in your chest. You felt that same doom. You probably thought that whatever was happening then was the most important thing in the world. But now, it is gone. It is dust. It has been completely erased from your memory. This brings us to the third question, the one that destroys the illusion of permanence. Does this matter in 5 years? We human beings suffer from a terrible kind of nearsightedness. We hold our problems right up to our eyeballs until they block out the sun. When a colleague makes a snide comment, or you get a parking ticket, or someone ghosts you, it feels massive. It feels all-consuming because it is happening now. Your brain treats a minor inconvenience like a Greek tragedy. But time is the ultimate solvent. It dissolves everything. I want you to be honest with yourself. If you cannot remember the tragedy of 5 years ago, why do you think the tragedy of today is any different? Why are you sacrificing your peace for something that your future self won't even recall? If the answer to "will this matter in 5 years" is no, then you are forbidden from spending more than 5 minutes obsessing over it. That is the rule. I want you to verify this for yourself. If you truthfully cannot remember your major crisis from 5 years ago, I want you to go down to the comments right now and type the word 0. Do it. Type 0. Let that be a testament to how much weight you gave to things that turned out to be weightless. See how many other people type it. We are all in the same boat, drowning in water that isn't even deep. Now I want you to visualize something. Imagine your life as a long timeline stretching from your birth to your death. It's a long road. Now imagine floating up above it. Go higher, see the decades, see the years. Now look down at today. From that height, the problem that is currently ruining your mood, that rude customer, that stain on your shirt, that awkward silence, what does it look like? It is a speck of dust. It is a blip on the radar. It is invisible. When you zoom out, you realize how small your drama actually is. And I don't mean small in a way that invalidates your feelings. I mean small in a way that liberates you. You are free. You realize that most of the things you are fighting are just temporary glitches in the matrix. They are not the end of the story. They are just a sentence on page 300 that you will skim past. Stop treating today's typo like a death sentence. Stop treating a bad day like a bad life. The Stoic perspective is the eagle's perspective. The higher you fly, the smaller the obstacles appear. If it won't matter on your deathbed and it won't matter in 5 years, it shouldn't matter now. Save your energy for the things that persist, your character, your actions, your purpose. Everything else is just dust in the wind. Let it blow away. Most of us live our lives running from a monster we have never actually seen. We sprint away from it, heart pounding, adrenaline pumping, terrified of what will happen if it catches us. We spend our days looking over our shoulder, whispering to ourselves, "What if? What if I get fired? What if she leaves me? What if the business fails? What if I get sick?" The "what if" is the most dangerous phrase in the human language because it is an open loop. It is a horror movie trailer that never shows the ending. Your mind takes that "what if" and fills the void with vague, terrifying shapes. It paints a picture of total annihilation. You assume that if you lose your job, you will instantly dissolve into nothingness. You assume that if you are rejected, you will die of loneliness. You are scared of the dark. That is all anxiety is. It is the fear of the undefined. The fourth question forces you to stop running, turn around, walk straight up to the monster, and turn on the lights. Ask yourself, what is the absolute worst that can happen? This is a technique the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds pessimistic, but it is actually the ultimate cure for anxiety. Instead of hoping nothing goes wrong, you deliberately imagine that it does go wrong, and you look at the wreckage without flinching. Let's do this together. Let's take the scenario that keeps you awake at night. Let's say it is losing your job. Your brain says, if I lose my job, my life is over. Is it? Let's walk through the disaster simulation. Let's go to the bottom of the pit. Okay, you lose your job tomorrow. The boss calls you in, hands you a box, and walks you to the door. Then what? You feel embarrassed. You feel angry. You go home. Then what? You have to cut expenses. Maybe you cancel Netflix. Maybe you stop eating out. Then what? You start applying for new jobs. You face rejection. It hurts. Then what? Let's say savings run out. You have to move into a smaller apartment, or move in with a friend, or move back in with your parents. Then what? You are sleeping on a couch. You are eating cheap food. You are humbled. But ask yourself the most important question. Are you dead? No, you are still breathing. You are still you. You still have your mind. You still have your ability to learn. You still have your resilience. The absolute worst-case scenario isn't death. It's an inconvenience. It's a bruised ego. It's a temporary step backward. When you actually define the monster, you realize it's just a guy in a rubber suit. It can't kill you. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Read that again in your mind. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your imagination is a torture chamber. It invents pain that doesn't exist. It amplifies consequences to catastrophic levels. In reality, losing a job is just paperwork and phone calls. In your imagination, it is the apocalypse. In reality, a breakup is just a conversation and some sad nights. In your imagination, it is eternal solitude. The reason you are paralyzed is because you are treating the unknown like a cliff edge. You think if you step off, you fall forever. But when you shine the light of this question on it, what is the absolute worst that can happen? You see that it isn't a cliff. It's a step down, maybe 2 steps. You might twist your ankle, but you will not fall into an abyss. Once you realize that you can survive the worst-case scenario, the fear loses its teeth. If the worst thing that happens is that you have to start over, well, you can handle starting over. You've done it before. If the worst thing is that people laugh at you, let them laugh. You will still wake up the next morning. Stop running from the shadows. Turn around and face them. Define the nightmare. Write it down on paper. If X happens, then Y happens, and I will do Z to fix it. Once you have a plan for the crash, you can stop gripping the steering wheel so tight. You become free to drive because you are no longer afraid of the ditch. You know you can climb out of it. How much of your mental RAM is currently being used to simulate the minds of other people? You send a text and they don't reply for 3 hours. Immediately, the simulation starts. Did I say something wrong? Are they mad? Do they think I'm annoying? You walk into a room and for a split second you feel eyes on you. You adjust your posture, you fix your hair, you change the way you walk. You are performing. You are an actor on a stage, desperate for applause from an audience that is mostly looking at their phones. This brings us to the 5th question, the one that exposes your hidden slavery. Who am I trying to impress? If we are honest, a huge percentage of your overthinking is actually mind reading. You are trying to calculate how you are being perceived by the world. You are terrified of judgment. You are terrified of being cringy or awkward or weak. But here is the brutal truth that you need to tattoo on your brain. You are worried about the opinions of people who don't even like themselves. Think about that. You are seeking validation from people who are just as insecure, just as lost, and just as confused as you are. You are looking for a stamp of approval from people who go home and cry in the shower. Why is their opinion the gold standard? Why is their judgment the law? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, marveled at this contradiction. He said, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. It is insanity. If a stranger told you to eat poison, you would laugh. But if a stranger thinks you are weird, you drink the poison of self-doubt instantly. I want you to imagine that the good opinion of others is a currency. You collect it, you hoard it, you stress over it. Now, imagine walking into a bank with a bag full of likes and compliments and people thinking you are cool. Try to pay your rent with it. Try to buy groceries with it. The teller will look at you like you are crazy. You cannot pay your rent with the opinions of others. You cannot buy peace of mind with validation. It is a fake currency. It buys absolutely nothing. Yet you are bankrupting your soul trying to earn it. You over-explain yourself. You apologize for taking up space. You say sorry when someone bumps into you. Stop it. Stop explaining yourself. Stop apologizing for existing. Every time you overthink a social interaction, you are handing your leash to someone else. You are saying, "Here, you decide how I feel today." You are making yourself a slave. A warrior does not ask for permission to be a warrior. A king does not ask the peasants if his crown is straight. The moment you stop trying to impress, you become dangerous. You become free. And ironically, the moment you stop caring what people think, they usually start respecting you more, because people are drawn to certainty. They are drawn to strength. And there is nothing weaker than a man who is constantly checking the room to see if he is allowed to be himself. So the next time you find yourself replaying a conversation, obsessing over a slight awkwardness, ask yourself, who is this for? If the answer is them, cut the thought. It is unauthorized. It is useless. Impress yourself. Respect yourself. That is the only applause that matters. Anxiety is a time traveler. It is almost never about the present moment. Your body is sitting here in a chair, safe, breathing, temperature controlled. But your mind is 3 years in the past, regretting a mistake. Or it is 6 months in the future, terrified of a meeting. You are split in half. Your body is in 2024, but your mind is in 2029. This separation, this stretching of the soul across time, is what causes the tension you feel. The sixth question is the anchor. It is the command that snaps the rubber band back into place. Ask yourself, where am I right now? And I don't mean geographically. I mean, look around you, literally. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, had a rule. He said, confine yourself to the present. He reminded himself constantly that the past is dead and the future is uncertain. The only thing you actually own, the only thing you can actually touch, is this tiny sliver of time called now. Everything else is a ghost. The past is a memory trace in your neurons. The future is a hallucination. Yet you spend 90% of your energy fighting ghosts. I want to give you a challenge, a micro-mission for the next 24 hours. I call it the senses game, and it is the fastest way to kill a panic attack I have ever found. Here is how it works. The moment you feel your mind drifting into the what-ifs, the moment the spinning starts, I want you to stop and physically touch the object nearest to you. It might be the fabric of your jeans. It might be the cold ceramic of a coffee mug. It might be the steering wheel. Touch it and then in your mind name its texture. Say, this is cold, this is rough, this is smooth. It sounds stupidly simple, right? But do you know what you just did? You forced your brain to process sensory data from the present moment. You cannot feel the texture of a cup in the future. You cannot feel the temperature of a table in the past. By focusing on the physical sensation, you drag your mind back into your body. You slam the door on the time machine. You realize, I am here, I am safe. The disaster isn't happening right now. Right now, I am just drinking coffee. Most of your suffering comes from fighting battles that haven't started yet. You are exhausted because you are trying to solve next year's problems with today's energy. But you don't have next year's energy yet. You only have enough fuel for today. When you confine yourself to the present, the burden becomes light. Can you handle the next 60 seconds? Yes. Can you handle the next hour? Yes. What you can't handle is the next 10 years all at once. So stop trying to carry the mountain. Just carry the pebble in front of you. Stop time traveling. Come back to the room. Come back to your breath. Come back to the sensation of your feet on the floor. This is where your power is. This is where you are alive. Everything else is just a dream. Imagine walking into a house. You open the front door and you are immediately hit by a wall of smell. You look around and the place is packed floor to ceiling with trash. Old newspapers from 1990, broken toasters, empty pizza boxes, piles of rusted metal. You can't even walk across the room. You have to climb over mountains of junk just to get to the kitchen. You would look at the owner of that house and say, "You are sick. You are a hoarder. You are living in filth." But take a look inside your own head right now. You are a mental hoarder. You are holding onto broken thoughts, rusted anxieties, and rotting memories that serve absolutely no purpose. You are cluttering your mental space with junk that trips you up every time you try to move forward. This brings us to the seventh question, and this is where we turn from philosophy to pure pragmatism. Is this thought useful? We often make the mistake of treating every thought that pops into our heads as if it is a sacred revelation. We treat thoughts like gold bars that must be protected, but most of your thoughts are not gold bars. They are candy wrappers. They are trash. The Stoics were ruthlessly practical. To them, the mind was a workshop and thoughts were tools. If you pick up a hammer and the handle is snapped in half, what do? Do you keep it in your tool belt just in case? Do you cry over it? No, you throw it in the garbage because it cannot drive a nail. It has lost its utility. Yet you keep replaying the same embarrassing memory from 3 years ago. What is the utility of that? Does it fix the past? Does it improve the future? No, it is a broken hammer. Throw it away. Here is the trap that catches the smartest people. You confuse truth with utility. You might argue with me, but I really did make a mistake. I really am in debt. That thought is true. I don't care if it is true. I care if it is useful. Let's say you messed up a project at work. The thought, "I made a mistake," is useful for exactly 5 minutes. It helps you analyze what went wrong so you don't do it again. That is a functional tool. But the thought, "I am an idiot and I always mess things up," played on a loop for 3 days, is useless. It is true that you messed up, but the repetition of the shame is not solving the problem. It is just draining your battery. You need to become a bouncer at the door of your own mind. When a thought tries to enter, especially a negative one, you stop it. You look it up and down. You ask to see its ID. You ask, "What are you here to do? Do you have a job? Do you lead to a solution, or do you just lead to suffering?" If the thought says, "I'm just here to remind you that you're not good enough," you kick it out. You evict it. You say, "I don't have space for you." This sounds difficult, but it is actually a relief. It gives you permission to stop engaging with your own neuroses. You don't have to psychoanalyze every fear. You don't have to find the root cause of every insecurity. You can simply look at a thought, realize it isn't helping you pay the bills or be a better man, and drop it. Think of your mind like a high-performance engine. Worry is like pouring sand into the gas tank. It might feel like you're doing something because the engine is making a lot of noise and heat, but you aren't moving forward. You are just grinding your gears. So for the rest of this day, I want you to apply the utility test. When you catch yourself spiraling, pause, ask, is this thought building me up or tearing me down? Is it a tool or is it trash? If it's trash, treat it like trash. Don't analyze it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't put it in a display case. Take it out to the curb and leave it there. A clear mind is not an empty mind. It is a mind filled only with things that matter. Clean your house. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that comes not from working hard, but from fighting a war you can never win. You are fighting against the universe itself. Imagine a man standing in the middle of a field. A storm rolls in. Thunder cracks, rain pours down. He gets soaked to the bone. Instead of seeking shelter, he looks up at the dark sky and starts screaming. He screams, "You shouldn't be raining. I planned a picnic today. This is unfair. Stop it right now." He screams until his throat bleeds. He screams until he falls to his knees, shivering, hoarse, and broken. Does the storm stop? Does the rain care about his picnic? Of course not. The weather is just physics. It is just nature doing what nature does. The man's suffering didn't come from the rain. Getting wet is just a physical sensation. His suffering came from his refusal to accept that it was raining. You are that man. We all are. Something happens in your life. You get dumped, you lose money, you get sick, and your immediate reaction is not to deal with it, but to argue with it. You say, "It shouldn't be like this." You say, "This isn't fair." You say, "Why is this happening to me?" This brings us to the eighth question, the one that breaks the cycle of resistance. Am I fighting reality? The word "should" is the most dangerous word in your vocabulary. I should have been promoted. She should have stayed. The market should have gone up. When you use the word "should," you are arguing with God. You are arguing with the fabric of reality. You are insisting that your version of the world is the correct one and the actual world is a mistake. But reality does not make mistakes. Reality just is. The Stoics called this amor fati, a love of fate. It doesn't mean you have to like the pain. It doesn't mean you have to celebrate the tragedy. It simply means you must accept that it has occurred so that you can actually do something about it. Think about how much energy you burn trying to rewrite history in your head. You replay the breakup 1,000 times, looking for the moment where it could have gone differently. You replay the accident. You replay the failure. You are gripping the steering wheel of a car that has already crashed. This is not problem solving. This is a tantrum. It is a refusal to look at the map because you don't like where you are standing. But you cannot navigate to a new destination if you refuse to admit where you are starting from. You have to drop the why. Why is a victim's question. Why did this happen? Why is the world so cruel? There is no answer that will satisfy you. Even if God came down and explained exactly why you had to suffer, it wouldn't fix the problem. Replace why with what. This happened. What do I do now? I am broke. What is my first step? I am alone. What is my new routine? Acceptance is not rolling over. It is not giving up. It is the exact opposite. Acceptance is the moment you stop screaming at the rain and start building a shelter. It is the moment you stop wasting your strength on denial and start using it for survival. The moment you look in the mirror and say, "Okay, this is my reality. It sucks, but it is real," the anxiety drops. Because you are no longer fighting the inevitable. You are aligning with it. You are moving with the current, not against it. Stop fighting the facts. The facts will always win. Align yourself with the truth, no matter how harsh it is, and you will find a strange, powerful kind of peace. You are back in the driver's seat. Let's slow down for a moment. We have been moving fast, fixing problems, optimizing your mind. But now, I need you to stop. I need you to silence everything around you. Because we are about to face the only thing that actually matters. Most of us live our lives with a dangerous delusion. We act as if we are going to live forever. We treat time as if it is a cheap, infinite resource. We spend hours scrolling through social media, days holding grudges, and weeks worrying about problems that, in the grand scheme of things, are smaller than a grain of sand. We do this because we think we have time. We think there is always a tomorrow to fix things, to be happy, to live. But you are wrong. You don't have infinite time. You have a very specific, unknown, and rapidly decreasing number of breaths left in your lungs. This brings us to the ninth, and perhaps the most powerful question of them all. If I die tonight, is this meaningful? The Stoics carried a concept in their pockets like a heavy coin, memento mori. Remember that you must die. This wasn't meant to be morbid. It wasn't meant to make them sad. It was meant to make them clear. When you look at life through the lens of death, the bullshit instantly evaporates. Think about the thing you are overthinking right now. Maybe it's an awkward comment you made. Maybe it's a promotion you didn't get. Maybe it's a person who doesn't like you. Now, I want you to imagine that tonight you go to sleep and you do not wake up. This is it. The screen goes black. The story ends. Does that awkward comment matter? Does that promotion matter? Does that person's opinion matter? Of course not. It looks ridiculous, doesn't it? It looks pathetic that you spent your precious, limited life force agonizing over something so trivial. Death is the ultimate clarifier. It strips away the ego. It strips away the vanity. It strips away the fear of judgment. When you are standing at the end of the line, you don't care about your reputation. You care about, did I live? Did I love? Was I true to myself? I want to take you on a visualization. It might be dark, but stay with me. It will liberate you. I want you to imagine walking into a graveyard. It is quiet. You walk past the rows of stones until you find a fresh one. You look at the name engraved on the granite. It is your name. It is your birth date, and today is the death date. Now look at the space below your name. This is where they write your legacy. Imagine if they carved what you were worrying about today onto that stone. Here lies a man who spent his final days terrified of sending an email. Here lies a woman who wasted her last week angry that she wasn't invited to a party. It sounds like a joke, doesn't it? It sounds like an insult to the gift of life. But if you continue to overthink these trivial things, that is your epitaph. You are trading your life for nothing. You need to carry death with you, not as a monster but as an advisor. When you get stuck in a loop of anxiety, turn to death and ask, does this matter to you? Death will always shake its head and say, no, only the truth matters, only love matters, only action matters. There is a freedom in this that is impossible to describe until you feel it. When you realize you could leave life right now, as Marcus Aurelius said, it determines what you do and say and think. You stop holding back. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You stop caring about the petty judgments of small minds. You realize that you are a dying man talking to other dying men. Why be afraid? Why be shy? Why be anxious? We are all heading to the same destination. The only choice you have is how you travel. Do you travel with your head down, staring at your phone, worried about nonsense? Or do you travel with your head up, taking in the view, grateful for the ride? I want you to make a pact with yourself right now. A pact to stop wasting your mortality. Go down to the comments section. I want you to type 2 words, just 2 words to seal this realization in your mind. Type, memento mori. Let that comment be a digital tombstone for your old, anxious self. Let it be a declaration that from this moment on, you will only give your energy to things that are worthy of a finite life. If it isn't meaningful enough to be on your gravestone, it isn't meaningful enough to be in your head. You are currently stuck in a trap called paralysis by analysis. You think that if you just sit there and think about the problem long enough, the solution will magically appear. You treat your mind like a washing machine, spinning the same dirty laundry over and over again, hoping that the spinning alone will clean it. But it doesn't. It just wears out the fabric. Anxiety is nothing more than energy without a destination. It is fuel pouring into an engine that is in neutral. All that happens is the engine revs, the heat rises, and eventually something blows a gasket. You feel exhausted not because you did work, but because you spent 8 hours holding down the brake pedal while flooring the gas. This brings us to the 10th question, the one that shifts you from static to kinetic. What is the next step? Notice I did not ask, what is the whole plan? I did not ask, how do we solve the entire crisis? The human brain freezes when it sees a mountain. It says, I can't climb that. But the human brain is very good at stepping over a single rock. The Stoics understood that the only cure for fear is action. You cannot think your way out of a fear that you haven't acted your way into. You are waiting to feel ready. You are waiting for the anxiety to leave before you start. You have it backward. The anxiety leaves after you start. Seneca said, "We learn by doing." You cannot learn to be brave by reading books about bravery. You cannot learn to solve problems by simulating them in your head. You have to get your hands dirty. Here is the rule you need to implement today. It is a modern adaptation of Stoic discipline. It is the 5-second rule. Your brain has a safety mechanism. When you have an impulse to do something uncomfortable, like sending that email, making that call, or walking into the gym, your brain has about 5 seconds before it starts to talk you out of it. It will say, wait, let's think about this. What if we fail? Maybe we should eat first. Maybe tomorrow. Your brain is a lawyer. It is excellent at arguing for delay. You need to fire the lawyer. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, ask, what is the immediate next step? I need to write the report. Okay, what is the step? Open the laptop. Then count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Do not give your mind a single second to negotiate. Treat the countdown like a launch sequence. When you hit 1, you move. You physically move your body. You stand up. You pick up the phone. You type the first word. Once you are in motion, a strange thing happens. The anxiety evaporates. Why? Because your brain realizes it is no longer in danger. It is in action. It switches from defense mode to execution mode. You cannot be paralyzed while you are sprinting. You cannot overthink while you are lifting a heavy weight. Action is the antidote. Action clears the fog. So look at the thing that is terrifying you right now. Stop looking at the summit. Look at your feet. What is the one small, stupid, easy thing you can do in the next 5 minutes to move 1 inch forward? Find it, count down, and attack it. Do not wait for confidence. Confidence is the prize you get after you do the work. One of the primary engines of anxiety is the feeling of lack, the feeling that something is missing. You are anxious because you are focused entirely on the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. You look at your bank account and it's not enough. You look at your career and it's not enough. You look at your life and you see a void. You are like a climber who is halfway up Mount Everest, but instead of looking down to see how far you have come, you are only looking up at the summit, terrified of how far you have left to go. You are exhausted because you never let yourself arrive. This brings us to the 11th question, the one that flips the script on dissatisfaction. What do I have now that I once desperately wanted? I want you to be honest with yourself. You are an ungrateful creature. We all are. It is human nature to normalize our blessings. We get the thing we wanted, we enjoy it for 5 minutes, and then we immediately reset our baseline and start wanting the next thing. But stop for a second. Rewind the tape. Go back to a time in your life when you were truly struggling. Maybe you were unemployed, sending out 50 resumes a day, terrified you wouldn't be able to pay rent. Do you remember that fear? Do you remember praying for any job, just something to pay the bills? Well, look at you now. You have a job, you have a paycheck. You are complaining about the commute, you are complaining about your boss, you are stressing over emails. But you forget that the version of you from 5 years ago would have killed to have your problems. Go back to when you were lonely, when you sat in your apartment on a Friday night, staring at the wall, wishing you had someone, anyone, to talk to. Now you have a partner, or you have friends, or you have a family. And what do? You obsess over their flaws. You take them for granted. Here is the reality check. You are currently living in your past self's dream. If the you from 10 years ago could walk into this room right now and see your life, they would be amazed. They would look at the food in your fridge, the roof over your head, the technology in your pocket, and they would think you had won the lottery. But you don't feel like a winner. You feel like a victim. Why? Because you have forgotten how to look backward. Overthinking thrives on the idea that I will be happy when. I will be happy when I get the promotion. I will be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I will be happy when I buy the house. This is a lie. It is a horizon that moves away from you as you approach it. If you cannot find peace in what you have today, you will not find it in what you get tomorrow. You will just get the new thing and find a new reason to be anxious. Stoic gratitude is not about holding hands and singing songs. It is a strategic tool for mental dominance. It is the ability to look at your current reality and realize that it is enough. It is the ability to say, I have conquered the mountains of my past. When you realize how much you already have, the desperation fades. You stop acting like a starving man. You start moving with the confidence of a wealthy man, not necessarily wealthy in money, but wealthy in life. So the next time you feel that gnawing hunger for more, or that anxiety that you are falling behind, ask yourself, what do I have right here, right now, that I once cried for? Acknowledge it, respect it, and realize that if you could survive the days when you didn't have it, you can certainly survive the days when you do. Stop chasing the ghost of the future and inhabit the reality of your present success. We have arrived at the final gate. We have stripped away the lies, we have audited your time, we have faced death, and we have forced you into action. But there is one final question that acts as the seal on everything we have discussed. It is the question that determines whether you stay free or eventually slide back into the mud. You need to ask yourself, who is in charge right now, the master or the slave? You have to understand that there is a civil war happening inside your head 24 hours a day. There are two distinct entities living within you. First, there is the slave. The slave is your biological reactive mind. It is the part of you that craves comfort, fears judgment, chases dopamine, and screams when it gets uncomfortable. It is the part that wants to eat the junk food, skip the gym, and obsess over that rude comment. It is loud, it is emotional, and it is weak. Then there is the master. The master is the you that is listening to me right now. It is the observing self. It is the part of you that sets goals, the part that knows right from wrong, the part that can look at a terrifying situation and say, we move forward anyway. The master is silent. The master is strong. Here is the problem with your life. You have let the slave sit on the throne. Imagine your mind as a kingdom. For the last few years, the king, the master, has been asleep. And while the king slept, the servants, the jesters, and the animals broke into the throne room. They are running the kingdom. They are drunk on emotion, smashing the furniture, screaming orders that make no sense. This is what anxiety is. It is a kingdom without a king. When you overthink, it is simply the slave running around in a panic, imagining monsters. And because the king is asleep, there is no one there to tell the slave to shut up. The 12th question is your wake-up call. It is the moment the king wakes up, walks into the throne room, kicks the jester off the chair, and sits down. When a thought comes up, let's say, I'm going to fail, the slave panics. Oh no, we are going to fail, retreat. But the master sits on the throne, looks at that thought, and simply says, I note your concern, but we are doing it anyway. You are not your thoughts. You are the entity that hears your thoughts. Do you understand the difference? If you can hear the voice in your head, then you cannot be the voice. You are the one listening. You are the one who gets to decide if that voice is telling the truth or if it is just noise. Thoughts are suggestions, not orders. Just because your brain suggests, let's check social media, doesn't mean you have to do it. Just because your brain suggests, let's worry about this for 3 hours, doesn't mean you have to obey. You have the power of veto. You have the power to look at a thought and say, denied. But this power doesn't come for free. You have to train it. And this brings us to the final, deep practice of the Stoic warrior. I want you to implement the evening tribunal. This is not a diary. This is not a place to whine about your feelings or write poetry. This is a military review of your day. The Stoics, specifically Seneca, did this every single night. When the lights went out, he would put himself on trial. Spend 15 minutes every night before bed with a pen and paper. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Where did the slave rule today? Be brutal. Admit where you lost your temper. Admit where you procrastinated. Admit where you let anxiety drive the car. Don't judge it with guilt, judge it with cold observation. I lost control at 2:00 p.m. when I got that email. 2. Where did the master rule today? Identify the wins. Where did you feel fear but act anyway? Where did you want to complain but stayed silent? Reinforce that identity. I felt panic at 10:00 a.m., but I used the 5-second rule and did the work. 3. How will I be better tomorrow? Set the strategy for the next battle. Tomorrow, when I feel that urge to check my phone in the morning, I will leave it in the other room. This practice does something profound to your psychology. It creates a separation between you and your behavior. It strengthens the observer. Over time, you stop being angry and start noticing anger. You stop being anxious and start noticing anxiety. The gap between the stimulus, what happens to you, and the response, what you do, gets wider. And in that gap, you find your freedom. In that gap, the master sits on the throne. You have to decide, right now, who runs your life. Is it the chemical impulses of a scared animal? Or is it the reasoned, disciplined will of a warrior? The noise will never fully go away. The slave will always chatter. The jester will always try to sneak back onto the throne. But now you know the truth. You know that you don't have to listen. You know that you are in charge. Take back the keys, take back the throne, silence the noise, and rule your empire. We have covered a lot of ground today. We have dismantled the lies. We have evicted the squatters from your head, and we have woken up the king. But before you click away, I want you to understand one final thing. The goal of Stoicism is not to turn you into a stone. It is not to make you feel nothing. It is to make you capable of handling everything. I want you to imagine your life starting 5 minutes from now. You close this video. You walk out into the world. The world is still going to be loud. The traffic will still be bad. People will still be rude. The economy will still be volatile. The chaos out there does not change just because you watched a video. But you have changed. Imagine walking through that storm, but this time you are not getting wet. You are wearing armor. When a problem arises, instead of spiraling into a 3-hour panic attack, you pull out your weapon. You ask, "Is this under my control?" You ask, "Is this useful?" You ask, "What is the next step?" And you slice through the noise with the precision of a surgeon. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind. You are the wind. There is a profound power in a silent mind. When you stop chattering, when you stop complaining, when you stop narrating your own life and just live it, you become dangerous. You become the kind of person that others look to when the building catches fire. While everyone else is screaming, you are calculating the exit. While everyone else is paralyzed by what-ifs, you are executing the next step. This is what it means to build an empire. Your empire is not the money in your bank or the car in your driveway. Those can be taken away in a heartbeat. Your empire is the space between your ears. It is the one territory that no tyrant, no disaster, and no bad luck can ever conquer, unless you surrender the keys. Do not surrender the keys. If this philosophy speaks to the warrior inside of you, if you are tired of the weakness and the noise of modern life, then you have found your tribe. We are building a community of men and women who refuse to be slaves to their emotions. If you want to continue this training, if you want to sharpen your mind every single week, then hit that subscribe button. Do not do it for me. Do it for your future self. Join us. And finally, I want you to leave this video with one phrase burning in your mind. A phrase to repeat when the world tries to break down your door. Say it with me, and if you are truly ready to change, write it in the comments one last time. My mind is a fortress, not a playground. The world screams, you whisper, now go and live.